We're talking Spider-Ham compensation. Should we be raging about this, or Second Dinner still working through what they need to get players compensation? Because there is compensation out, and we're looking at what the buffs and nerfs are going to be potentially coming in tonight in the patch. And as we were about to post this video, we were finishing the editing. We also got the updates for what we're getting on the Spotlight cache this month. So let's check that out. We're going to start with the Spider-Ham compensation. Zombies go nom nom. Shout out to him for bringing this up on Twitter. So there are folks out there who are getting the Spider-Ham compensation, the 3,000 tokens. If you're unfamiliar with this, Spider-Ham was not in the reserves right away. A bunch of people opened their reserves and did not get him. So Second Dinner said that they were going to go look in this and send out compensation. The criteria behind it, we'll get to that in a second. They've also sent out compensation for the weekend missions for Silk, and there's some credit compensation as well, but I have not seen the gold sent out. Now, in fairness, before everybody starts raging, and trust me, I'm somebody who wants to rage right now, I did an opening for the Spider-Ham. This is one card I pulled, Stegron, obviously Series 4, and I also got Master Mold, which was Series 4. If you go into the Discord and go to the support bug section, you will see a number of ham posts looking for what's going on. Now, specifically, Spider-Ham compensation criteria is what I looked at. There was a good post here. I specifically brought it up, keeping a close eye on this because I opened the reserves. But Benjamin from the team right here specifically says, "We appreciate your patience on this matter. We have received a feedback from our relevant team confirming that the 150 gold should have been sent out." So that's one thing. That's good. But there might be a delay for the item to show up in the inbox. Okay. "We highly suggest checking your inbox through your mobile device, as inbox rewards is not yet supported on PCs. If you still don't see the tokens tomorrow, you can let us know again. Thank you for your understanding and cooperation." Now, I'm assuming, because this is a Spider-Ham compensation criteria, that they're talking about the tokens for Spider-Ham. Now, they did bring up that they haven't received the gold compensation as well. So I'm a little concerned that we might be mixing apples and oranges here a little bit, but I'm not going to rage yet. I don't want to get worked up over this too much, but it seems like it might still be coming. Again, communication can go a long way up front. All right, now let's get into the OTA / it's the patch, card changes, whatever you want to call it. We're getting buffs and nerfs happening here. I typically like to go look at some specific card stats before I really think about these. We've got in deck, we've got in drawn, when played. We're using snap.fan for this. These are third party, so Second Dinner has the actual stats. You can't just go by these, but you can at least look at it to get an idea. You can see win percentage, Abomination Thing, Misty Knight, Cyclops, Shocker, High Evolutionary, Hulk, all high Evo cards. That's win percentage. And then it gets the Mysterio, which is bounce, Bishop, Falcon, Hitmonkey shortly below that, which we'll touch on all these a little bit. Average cubes, Mysterio, Hitmonkey, Bishop, all bounce type, Shocker, Thing, Misty Knight. Okay, all solid. Now, when we're looking at when drawn, we've still got these high evolutionary cards in Abomination Thing and Cyclops. Patriot pops up. Misty Knight, Hulk, Shocker again. That's still up high. Average cubes. Patriot and Ultron are way higher here. Mysterio's still up. APOC, Hitmonkey, MODOK. When played, this one I don't know if they look at as a much, but we are going to touch upon this a little bit because of a card that's coming. This is more just for fun, so stay tuned for that. We've got Hella, Ultron, Hulk, Infinite, Null, and then still Hella up top. I mean, this, you get some pretty insane numbers up here. Ultron, Infinite, Null, Hulk. So we're going to focus more on the win drawn. Now, let's look at the reverse side of this because we got to think about buffs. Agatha, I don't think they're touching that. Strong Guy, the pool one card, I don't think they're going to go anything on that, but he could definitely use it. Yellow Jacket for sure an option, is Series 3, not very good. Crystal still really low. Squirrel Girl, Ebony Maw, Magic pretty low. Living Tribunal, we'll touch on that. And then Snowguard, Quake. Adam Warlock we mentioned, maybe we'll bring that up. So win percentage there. Average cubes, pretty much the same type of cards. Baron Mordo at a 0.04, that's pretty bad. Sean is still low. Yellow Jacket, Domino and Baku, Squirrel Girl, etc. When drawn, it's like Snowguard doesn't even have enough games. It's so bad of a card. Yeah, and Strong Guy, Yellow Jacket, Crystal, all pretty high up on this terrible list. Still with the average cubes. So given this information, let's think about what we might want to improve or bring down a notch. Of course, I keep a spreadsheet on all of the OTA / buff nerf stuff that I want to look at. So for this one on 7/11, which should be happening later tonight, we're going to rehash a couple of the things that we've talked about previously. High Evo cards, Cyclops, Wasp, Thing, and Hulk. Now, I talked about nerfing Cyclops down to a 3-3 or maybe hit one target. Wasp, I think hitting just one target. Thing, I thought about nerfing to hit 2 targets instead of 3. And then Hulk, I thought maybe you nerf him and you cap him at 20 or maybe 18. With today's, I talked about maybe adjusting Thing to nerf him down to 4-5 and keep the 3 targets. We were talking about this on Discord, link in the description below. If you're going to change any of these values, you got to be careful because of the Patriot or early pool decks. I still think Cyclops at 3-3 and even Thing at 3-5 might be okay. And then that way you don't adjust hitting their targets. Because what I worry about there is if you adjust hitting too many targets, then Abomination and the adjustments you get because of high evolutionary are not going to be as good. And he might not be very playable. I think Hulk is probably the biggest one. And I think capping him at something like 18 would be really good. I also talk about rehashing something I talked about previously with Living Tribunal. I think buffing him to a 6-9. You go from 6-6 to 6-9 so that you get equal distribution amongst all the lanes. I think that makes the most sense. Now let's talk about some other nerfs. First, bounce. We saw a lot of bounce on there. So the card I'm going to focus on first is Hitmonkey. I think that if you nerf Hitmonkey to a 2-3, well, how's that a nerf? It goes from 2-0 to 2-3, but you add only 1 per card when you get him. So that way he's not a 2-0 and he's not bad at 2-3, but you only get 1 for every additional card instead of 2. I think that will help a lot with making bounce a little bit softer. I also think you nerf Bassett, making it a little bit more expensive at 2 and giving it a little bit more power at 2. So that way it makes it a little bit more clunky at that 2 to 3 cost range with a card like Bast. And also if you beast Bass, it's not necessarily free late. Now I'm bringing up Hela now because you saw her on the list. It's not going to happen now, but I'm just going to put a little bug in your ear. Echo, Invisible Woman, MODOK, Hela. It's going to be borderline untouchable. You could certainly Galactus or Arrow or do things like that, but that card might need to get looked at after Echo. We also want to rehash looking at a couple buffs we mentioned a long time ago. Baron Mordo, I think you buff him to 2-4 or you allow him to see the card. I think that would be huge. Also a buff to Spectrum. I think 6-7 or even 6-8 might not be too bad for her. I think as far as a 6 cost card, she needs some love. Those ongoing Spectrum decks aren't bad, but they're not that great where I don't think giving her an extra point or 2 would be all that overpowering. Last but not least on this list, Stegron. I think he could use a buff. I think either a 3-5 or a 3-4, meaning you can play him earlier. That way you're not using a Zabu to bring him out. I just think the randomness of which card, the randomness of where he hits that card too, it's not enough to justify playing a card like this. Maybe if you're playing Jean Grey or if it's the last card in a certain location, maybe it makes sense, but it could still cost you another lane. I think if you make him cheaper, it makes him more powerful. You can play him with some additional cards later in the match. That's where I'd start with Stegron. So this says we're currently targeting launching this new feature with our upcoming patch 7.12 tomorrow. I'm a little worried that they say currently targeting. I mean, I'm assuming they're working ferociously to help this happen, but you'd think the day before that would be already ironed in. Here is the spotlight schedule for the Rise of the Phoenix. All right, so this week we've got Jean Grey, Null, and Living Tribunal, which I think is pretty solid. Wow, next week is Echo, Iron Lad, and Kang. I'd say Kang is the weakest of that group, but still pretty solid. Holy crap, they've got a big bad every single week. This is insane. And then they've got Legion, High Evolutionary, and Dark Hawk. I'm not surprised they put Dark Hawk with Legion, but High Evolutionary is also a great card. That is seriously bonkers. And then the last week, they've got Mirage, Thanos, and Master Mold. I might say that's the weakest week of all of them, but Thanos is really good. I mean, so far, honestly, like this is pretty impressive. They weren't kidding when they were saying they were going to make these attractive. For me personally, I love week 1 because of Jean Grey. Week 2, I love because of Echo and Iron Lad. Week 3, I like. Now, I'm not needing High Evolutionary, but I like it because of High Evolutionary. And then Dark Hawk is awesome. So of the weakest cards this month, which is, in my opinion, Legion, they've got 2 of the best cards in there. And then the last week, they've got Mirage, which is a decent card, and they give one of the best big bads in there in Thanos. This is super impressive. I like this. And then they say, don't forget, every Spotlight Cache also features a random Series 4 or 5 card. Additionally, if you already own one of the featured cards, the Spotlight Caches will instead feature a Spotlight variant. Here are those featured variants for the upcoming week. So if you've got Null, this is the Null you're going to get, which that's pretty amazing, not going to lie. Living Tribunal, not too bad. I dig it. And then this awesome Art Germ Jean Grey. So pretty good variants that they've got in those Spotlight caches. I'm impressed so far. We'll see how this shakes out going forward. We're going to leave it there for today. Let me know what buffs or nerfs you think should happen coming this patch. Let me know what your thoughts are on the Spider-Ham thing. Are you raging? I would, again, say keep calm for now. Let's see what they have that's going on. Sometimes these things do take time. I do think they should proactively discuss this a little bit more, but is what it is. If you found this video helpful or you want to help support the channel, please hammer down that like button. And until next time, I hope you have a wonderful day.